In this video, I'll show you 17 soccer tips for midfielders. Watch the entire video and you'll learn how to play your position better so you can get the ball more often, make smarter decisions, and never feel lost on the field again.
I'm Dylan Tooby of Progressive Soccer, and if you're new to this channel and you want to improve faster and achieve more, hit that subscribe button and push the bell notification so you never miss a video. If you find this video helpful, please remember to like and share on social media.
If you receive the ball, you want to try to shoulder check, be aware of where the space is, realize that most of the players on the other team are on this side of the field, so that means the space and the opportunity is on this side of the field. So if it comes from a congested area, you want to open up your body, play that ball quickly, switch the field. Now I will say there are times when you don't want to switch the field. When will that happen? Well, if you receive the ball from a wide position, let's say you come and you're being available, you show and you get the ball, but then you realize, hey, we have an overload here. We have more players than them. Maybe it's a 3-on-1, something like that. So in this position, just because it came from that way doesn't mean that we should switch the play. In fact, we should keep it on this side because we have more players than them. We can quickly play little 1-2s and get into space using our numbers to our advantage. So you always want to think about completing triangles, being that third option, being available for your teammates. So whether that's a wide player on the ball, you want to get there early. Can you anticipate the play, get into a position where you can help him out of trouble? If that's a ball being played out the back, you're always thinking about getting into the little positions where you can be available for that pass. So when your teammates get closed down, where they're getting pressure, you want to get into a position where you can be available, be that third outlet, completing the triangle, being that person that's going to help your teammates out of trouble when they get closed down by the opposition. When you're defending, that's one thing. Let's say the other team has possession of the ball. It's good to be nice and compact, nice and narrow, hard to play through, force them to go on the outside. If the ball gets shifted, we'll go. But when you're in possession of the ball, you don't want to overcrowd one side. So let's say we win possession of the ball and then both central midfielders are on the same side of the field. This makes it very difficult to switch the play, to utilize open space on the field. So you want to make sure that you're not overcrowding one side. So when that ball does get played to you, then you can easily combine and switch the play. So if you're the further midfield, let's say you're a wide midfielder or you're that second central midfielder there, realize that, hey, I don't want to crowd one side. I want to be patient. I want to realize that when that ball comes to him, I need to be that second option so we can quickly play out and go the other way. So there are times to dribble. There are times to take multiple touches. But if you're receiving the ball in the midfield and you're dwelling, you're taking too long to make a decision, you are taking too many touches on the ball, not only are you going to get closed down and risk losing possession in a dangerous area, but your teammates are getting closed down, their passing angles are getting closed down, their space is getting closed down. So the longer you take to move the ball, the harder it's going to be for your teammates, and the harder it's going to be for you to play and make things happen on the field. So you want to move the ball, force the opposition to move. Then, if you move the ball quickly, this will result in you getting more space where you'll be able to take more touches, for example, driving forward and playing little through balls. But when you're in the midfield, I want you to analyze your play. Am I playing quick enough? 1-2 touch. Become a passionate one-touch player, two-touch player. Getting the ball, giving it, getting the ball, giving it, popping it off, getting back, moving into space, playing quickly. How often do you play forward passes into dangerous positions and create chances from the midfield? And how often do you play easy sideways balls or even backwards balls just because you're scared of losing possession? Obviously, you want to be smart with the ball, but as a midfielder, you need to be the playmaker. And to be a playmaker, you have to play forward passes. You have to play key passes that make a difference. So whenever possible, get your head up. Can you play that ball forward? Can you play a ball forward and join in the attack? Can you play these little through balls into dangerous positions? So that could be a ball into space that forces it, encourages your teammate to attack with their first touch. So when you receive that ball, obviously you want to be aware of the space before it even comes to you, but get your head up and can you find balls to play into dangerous positions? Don't be afraid to play that ball forward. Yes, you're going to get your passes intercepted sometimes, but if you play 2 passes forward and one of them gets through and results in a goal, the other one gets intercepted, I think you'll be happy with the results of playing forward passes. You play a bad pass and it gets intercepted, or you're dribbling in the midfield and you lose possession. As soon as that happens, yes, work to win it back, But the next possible time you can get possession of the ball and play and make up for your mistake or show people and prove to yourself that you can do better, get that ball. So as soon as you lose it, the very next opportunity, you go hunting for that ball and you demand it back. Give it back to me. That was just a one-time mistake. I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to play well. And even if you keep losing it, keep losing it, keep losing it, demand that ball. It's courage, it's bravery. If you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Get over it quickly and demand it right away. Most players will lose possession of the ball and then they'll go hiding. Because they made that mistake, everyone yelled at them, everyone got disappointed. Now they'll hide, now they won't show, now they won't demand the ball. So as soon as you lose possession of the ball, demand that ball, get it back as soon as you can so you can make an impact for your team. Win that midfield battle. These other midfielders in here that are playing against you, these are the players that you need to dominate. You want to dominate. And in order to do that, yes, you want to get on the ball as far as attacking. You want to be the team, the players, the midfielders that are more involved. That means getting more touches, having more possession of the ball, doing more things with the ball. But also defensively, you want to be the team that is not allowing your midfield opposition to play. That means closing space quickly. That means when they get on the ball, you are closing them down. You're forcing them to go backwards and play those sideways balls, play those backwards balls. You don't want to give them time to play those forward passes. You want to be closing them down, forcing them to make mistakes, nicking the ball off them, and winning possession for your team. So when you're playing, you have to have the desire to win that midfield battle. That player that you're playing against, those 3 or 4 players in the midfield that you're playing against, as a unit, as an individual, you win the midfield battle every time you play. In this situation, you want to take those touches, and you want to take those touches with purpose. But if you don't, what happens is your teammates just get picked up, you have no passing angles, you have no options, you'll be forced to play a ball into a position where maybe you shouldn't. So if that space is there, I want you to be positive and I want you to dribble forward, because that's going to force defenders to come and close you down, which will create space for your teammates where you can play little 1-2s, or you can release them and then they can get in on goal. So when that opportunity is there, let's say you receive that ball and nobody's marking you, well, in this position, you want to drive forward, force defenders to close you down and create space for your teammates. Then you can play little balls over the top or little through balls into space for your teammates to attack. A lot of midfielders, they spend a lot of time in here and then they wonder why they don't score many goals. You have to get yourself in the right positions to score goals. Scoring goals isn't so much about technique and about skill. Yes, of course that's important, but it's about getting yourself into the right position at the right time. So as a midfielder, you have to get forward more. Analyze your play. How many times are you actually getting into the box? How many touches are you getting in the box? How many shots are you getting per game? If you're not making the movement, you're not getting forward, you're not going to get the opportunities, you're not going to score the goals. So as a midfielder, make sure you're getting forward, you're joining in the attack. Whether your teammates are on the ball or the opposition's on the ball, I want you to focus on your positioning. I want you to think about balance. So that means both of us can't run forward if my teammates are in possession, okay? Maybe one of us makes a forward run, the other one has to keep balance. Balance as far as width, balance as far as depth. So you're not just watching the ball, you're being aware of what your teammates are also doing. What runs does he make? If he goes into there, maybe I want to come into here. So keeping balance. So when we do lose possession of the ball, all of us aren't all the way up the field. So yes, you want to focus on the ball. Yes, you want to focus on making positive forward runs, but you also want to think about where are my teammates? Where do I need to be to support them if they need help or we lose possession of the ball? Obviously, you want to close down the opposition's midfielders. However, you also want to think about blocking passing angles into the strikers. So instead of just running at him aimlessly, you want to think about where am I closing passes off. So you have to shoulder check, you have to be aware. If you know that the defender is there, or sorry, the striker is there, then you want to think about closing down while also closing off this passing angle. So all of us are responsible for closing down another midfielder, but we're also responsible for blocking passes off into strikers or wingers. Okay, so we're trying to do 2 jobs at once. So as you're closing, think about blocking off passing angles into the striker's feet, the wingers, or the other forward. Can you get closer to your strikers? Whether you're that player playing the pass or you're the second midfielder running in, anticipating the play, can we get closer so we can actually combine with them? Because if we're just sitting in the midfield playing long passes and watching forwards attack on their own, we're never going to be as successful as if we join in the attack and play these little combinations, support them if they get trapped so you can release other players, play the ball quickly, make combinations, and make things happen. So when that ball gets played into the strikers or before it gets played into the strikers, can you think about getting closer so we can link up and attack effectively? For example, if your teammate's getting into a battle for the ball, maybe they're slide tackling, they're shoulder barging, they're battling back and forth, instead of just standing here and watching him, can we get a little bit closer and help him out? So suddenly it's an overload, it's a 2-on-1. Now we're more likely to win this battle. So whenever possible, if he gets him close, if he gets him in trouble, you want to think about doubling up. Now obviously we're not all just swarming towards the ball, but there are times and opportunities when we can double up. So you are responsible for another player. And if he has time and space, well maybe now it's time to stay with your mark. But if he gets into a situation where he can get his head down and force him to make a mistake, well now we want to overload in the midfield. We want to increase our chances of winning the ball by doubling up, tripling up, and winning that midfield battle. Can you make several runs during the game to get past your striker? For example, let's say the ball is played into a striker's feet, something like this, played into his feet. Instead of standing here and waiting for him, can you make that forward run? So when that ball does get played back, well now suddenly you're that second runner. And a lot of times, defenders are focused on the striker. A midfielder is lazy, they're not going to track you all the way. They're going to pass you off to a defender, but he's already responsible for someone. So if you're making runs past the striker, past your forward, past the last defender, as a midfielder, most teams, most players aren't going to pick you up. So I want you to analyze your game. How many times during the game did you actually make the forward run past the last defender, past your own striker? Or are you constantly just sitting in the midfield, sitting behind your striker and not making any forward runs, getting past the line of defense? As soon as you lose possession of the ball, whether you lose possession of the ball or whether your teammate loses possession of the ball, quick transition into defense, track back with purpose, track back with energy, get behind the ball, get your shape. Now we can rest in this shape here, and obviously we've got to close down. But how quickly are you tracking back? Are you walking back? Are you putting your hands up and blaming your teammate for losing possession? Are you slowly jogging back? Or are you sprinting back into space, into position, tracking back with purpose, defending for your team, doing the job defensively? But number one, you have to keep possession of the ball. You have to take care of the ball. So whenever possible, you want to try to play forward. But if for whatever reason you can't play forward, there's no problem in going backwards or going sideways, keeping possession of the ball. So I want you to pride yourself in practices and games on never losing the ball. Be the type of player that never loses the ball. Now obviously you want to try to play forward, but be the type of player who never loses the ball. When you get closed down, you have no problem turning, playing the ball backwards or playing the ball sideways, and quickly moving into space to support the player on the ball, creating another passing angle. Keep possession of the ball. Don't give it away. Think about finding pockets of space. You may have heard this term before, finding the pockets or playing between the lines. And basically what that means is you don't want to receive the ball in lines with your defenders, the people that are defending you. It makes you easy to defend. Instead, you want to receive the ball in pockets between the lines. So that may mean receiving the ball between the midfielder and the defenders. It may mean receiving the ball between the forwards and the midfielders. Okay, but finding pockets of space. So if you're always receiving the ball on the same line as the players that are defending you, you become easier to defend. So that means little movements, anticipating, watching where the players are getting sucked in so you don't get sucked into the same space. You find pockets. So think about playing between the lines, finding those pockets, because if you can receive the ball in this situation here, you're much more dangerous than receiving the ball in this situation here. So sometimes all that takes is a little movement, a little clever movement, or sometimes it's not even moving at all. It's realizing that everyone else is going to the ball, so I'm just gonna pop off here as that ball's getting shifted. I already know I'm gonna find that space and they're gonna be closer to the ball, so I can get a turn, and now we can attack with purpose.
If you didn't write down these 17 soccer tips for midfielders, do not worry. I've put a complete list in the description below.
If you truly want to improve faster and achieve more, go to my website, progressivesoccertraining.com, and sign up for the free crash course.